Welcome everybody to this week's Travel Talk show. This week we are heading to the heart of South Africa and to Botswana. We every week have a look at a different area. Some weeks we do a virtual journey where we look at just a destination itself. And then some weeks we actually, I'm just gonna mute my phone here. Some weeks we actually look at a specific tour. So this week is a tour info session where we are going to look at a specific tour, and that tour is our Botswana safari coming up at the end of 2022. If you go just quickly to the next screen, just a little bit about who we are. We're the Women's Travel Club, and we do small group tours for women all over the world. Most of the women that join our groups do join our groups as solo travelers, but quickly make some very good travel friends. We will match roommates, so if you're looking to take advantage of that double occupancy rate, but coming by yourself, we can match you with a roommate so that you can do that. Or of course, you can always pay the little bit extra and have your own room. And we can go to the next. Usually I have control of the slides. Maggie does for this one. I'm a little out of my element here, but we are heading down here in Africa. So right down in Southern Africa, we're heading to Botswana, which is surrounded by Namibia, just on the left of Botswana. Then just below Botswana, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. A lot of times our Botswana tours will include Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe and Zambia. And that is because it's just right there, kind of on the corner, very close to Chobe, and it makes a great add-on for the Botswana tours. Botswana, I have to say, is one of my favorite destinations. I love Africa, and probably within Africa, Botswana is my favorite. And if you love elephants, the concentration of elephants in Botswana is incredible, especially Chobe. You can go there and see herds and herds of just seas of elephants. And it's also a very safe destination within Africa, one of the safest destinations, countries to visit in Africa. So I am now going to turn this over to our expert and let Maggie tell you more about Botswana and the different areas and lodges and why we all really want to go to Botswana.
Perfect. Well, I'll introduce myself a little. My name is Maggie, as Marianne said, and I am part of the Kwando team. I'm based here in the United States. I actually previously came from a tour operator background. So similar to Marianne, I was working for a company in Boston. So I'm very familiar with all of Southern Africa. That's all I specialized in. So I know the whole landscape, and I actually chose to start working for Kwando a little over a year ago. And then of course, this past year has been quite crazy, but I'm very familiar with the brand, and I'm really passionate about it. And that's for many reasons, which I'll chat to you about in just a moment. But Marianne has put together a wonderful itinerary that covers a fantastic breadth of opportunity for wildlife and different landscapes in Botswana, as well as into Victoria Falls. So it's a very comprehensive itinerary. And you've got a really nice escalation kind of going up in luxury and ending in the Victoria Falls in a really beautiful property. So you guys are in for a treat. I'll go through a bit of an overview, but as a general kind of theme, our ethos at Kwando Safaris is totally focused on the safari experience. We feel that you can spend $1 million on gilded chandeliers and Michelin star meals, but that's not what you're going to remember when you leave Botswana. What you're going to remember is the incredible sightings, the guiding, the game viewing, and being out in nature. So that's what your money goes towards. Our camps, as you'll see, are beautiful and have everything that you need, all the creature comforts you could ask for. But our focus is on the game viewing. So everything is oriented around that. And that's what's most important to us. Let me click through here. It'll let me. All right, so a brief overview. So you're looking right now at the northern third of Botswana. So almost all of the game viewing that you'll do in Botswana is centered in this area. So you can see Victoria Falls over there on the top right. It is right where Zimbabwe and Zambia meet, and just across the border from Botswana. So it's a very easy jump from Chobe Bush Lodge, which you can see there labeled in red. That is kind of the last 2 stops of your trip. You guys will actually start out by flying into Maun, which is right in the middle of that map. And that is the gateway into the Okavango Delta. So everyone that comes into Botswana in search of seeing those elephants crossing those deep channels and really experiencing kind of the Garden of Eden, as we like to refer to it, will fly into Maun, and then you'll take light aircraft flights to the various camps. So you will be staying at 2 different camps in the Okavango Delta. Murami Crossing is your first stop. So that's kind of the closest one to the Maun airport. It's a nice short flight. And then you'll head on to Splash Camp, which is up kind of at the top part of the Okavango Delta. And then you'll head on to Chobe Bush Lodge and finally ending in the Victoria Falls. So as I mentioned, you're covering a lot of areas and a fantastic opportunity to see lots of wildlife. So a big reason why I decided to work at Kwando, I have seen many camps, many hotels. I can't even begin to count the number of places that I have stayed. And all of the Kwando properties have stuck out to me throughout that experience because of the feeling that you get on arrival. And it's something that can't be taught. There is a pride in what we do from bottom to top, everyone that you meet. And I think a big part of that is that we are citizen owned and hosted. So every person you meet, aside from myself and a couple other marketing people, because we have to be based around the globe, nearly everyone is Botswanan, which is quite cool. And we're very proud of that. It's something that is very important to us. And we are really focused in the investment in our people. So the staff come from around the areas where you'll be staying. They can chat to you about what it's like growing up in the bush, many of them. Some of them have been with us for decades. And we really invest in our people so that they are able to move around as they find their passion. So we have chefs that used to be guides. We have camp managers that used to be trackers. I mean, everything under the sun, which means you get to keep our staff for a very long time, and they're truly quite happy to be there. So that's something quite special that you guys will get to experience from beginning to end. So now into the itinerary. The first place that you'll stay when you arrive in Maun is Samalakani River Lodge. This is one of our partner properties. It's not part of the Kwando portfolio, but it is a beautiful spot, kind of a soft landing for when you guys get there in the afternoon. You'll have dinner, you'll get to relax a bit, you'll go out on a sunset boat cruise, and then get a good night's sleep before you head out on safari. This is kind of key for you guys to get your feet on the ground, maybe repack your bags if you've kind of moved things around in transit. So this will be a nice soft landing for you. And then the next morning, you will fly out to Moremi Crossing. So this is one of my favorite camps. It is a very unique offering in Botswana because of its proximity to Chief's Island. So as soon as you start to become familiar with the Okavango Delta, Chief's Island comes up again and again because it is an island that as soon as the floods come in from the Okavango Delta, which is a river emptying out into the middle of Botswana, as soon as these floodwaters start to come in, the island basically becomes cut off. So all of the predators, all of the wildlife, they have to cross these big channels to get off, which means you end up with a really cool microcosm and lots of interesting dynamics between lions and leopards, elephants, etc., all on this big tract of land. And Murami Crossing and our sister camp, Guns Camp, we have exclusive walking rights on Chief's Island. So here you can see Moremi Crossing, the camp is on the right-hand side. You see that channel in the middle, and then Chief's Island is on the left. So that's, I mean, incredible access. You're looking right at it. Most of your walking activities in Mokoro will center around Chief's Island. So you land, you would go directly to camp, and then you will head out on your afternoon activities. So this will depend upon the water levels, what you guys are interested in doing, what exactly activities you may choose to do. But we can do fishing. You can head out on Mokoro, which is a traditional carved out canoe. We can do motorboat rides on these deep channels. You can head out a bit farther than you can get in a canoe, of course. Birding is really the focus here. Birding, seeing elephants, grazing game, as well as a good chance of seeing leopard. Lions, of course, are be very traditional cat-like, don't like to swim as much. So you do have to get out on land to see them a bit. And we do have game drives here. Because it is such a flooded area, the game drives are more seasonal. So if the water is high, then we can't do the game drives. That's just one important note, but otherwise very much water and walking focused activities. We can do village visits as well if that is something that is interesting to you. So here you can see Murami Crossing situated just right in the middle of those flooded plains. The rooms are lovely traditional Meru style tents, which is a lot of what you'll see in Botswana. So you've got the bedroom, which is situated facing a porch area, and then behind the bedroom is your ensuite bathroom. And this is your main area looking out. The Moremi Crossing does have a larger main area because it is 16 tents. So you do have lots of areas to congregate. We've got a lovely bar and dining area as well. And then this is what your motorboat activities look like. So a lot of your activities will launch directly from the camp itself, which you can see in the top of the photo. We have smaller motorboats. Usually we'll have about 6 people in a boat. So you're able to get quite up close, and they're shallow bottoms. So you're able to skim across these incredible floodplains. And this is what a walking safari looks like. So it may sound a bit crazy if it's something out of the norm of what you usually do, but this is the coolest way to learn about the intricacies of the bush. Our guides are walking experts, and they'll take you out onto Chief's Island, which is in the Moremi Game Reserve, and you will walk and go in search of tracks, in search of the minutia of the bush. There's really nothing like it, and it's a very, very neat experience. That's what a Mokoro looks like. So you're in these beautiful clear channels. Your guide is in the back, kind of referred to as a polar, and they are pushing you through the channel. Usually you'll have 1 or 2 people per Mokoro. And this is what a game drive looks like. So you will actually also have a tracker that will be sitting on the front of the vehicle. And these are red leachweed. So you have a lot of plains game. You'll learn about the differences as you go through these different landscapes, the different plains game that you're likely to see. So red leachweed have webbed toes, webbed feet, and their back legs are actually longer than their front. So they're facing down. That means that they can run and spring and jump with those really strong hind muscles, but they can also stand on the banks and have an easier angle right into the water to drink. So you'll learn about all kinds of differences between red leachweed, which you'll see here, and then you will not see any red leachweed in Chobe. There you're much more likely to find impala. From Moremi Crossing, during your itinerary, you'll have the opportunity to experience adventure camping. This is something that you'll get to do for 1 night. You'll have, of course, your tent booked back at the camp. So if you decide not to do this, that is totally fine. You do have a room allocated to you. But should you wish for a little bit more adventure, you'll head out with our guides. We'll take groups of 6 people with 2 guides, and you'll go out and either walk or Mokoro and walk to your campsite. So you're all out on Chief's Island camping in a particular campsite. It'll be all set up for you by the time you get there. There'll be a bathroom. Your guides will cook, of course. So it's very low impact if you're not a big camper, but it gives you an opportunity to be really out in the wild. And then the next morning you'll wake up and do all of your walking and Mokoro right in Chief's Island as well. So it gives you a chance to get out a bit deeper and learn a bit more about the bush. It's a very neat experience. From Moremi Crossing, so after you have left camp, you'll take a light aircraft up a bit northeast and you'll head to Splash Camp. Splash Camp, though, it's a little bit of a misnomer. In the wettest parts of the year, it does get big puddles around the area, and so all the vehicles have to go through, which is why it's gotten its name Splash. But it will actually be a bit drier in landscape compared to Moremi Crossing, which gives you a much better chance of seeing predators like lion and wild dog pictured here. Both of these photos are actually taken right around camp. So as you can see, lots of predator action, which is very exciting for our guests, sometimes a little bit of a stressor for our staff trying to make up beds, but I think we'll take it. It's a pretty cool experience. Splash is a little bit smaller. It's 10 rooms, plus we do have 2 guide rooms. And here we do have all of the same activities, except for game drives are a bit more of a focus here. It is a drier landscape. We're able to do the game drives year round. and you're able to cover quite a bit more ground, especially if you're tracking predators. So that will probably be a bit more of your focus at Splash compared to Murami Crossing, which would be a bit more birding and elephants, grazing game, etc. In both of these areas, we can do off-road and night drives. You'll probably do more of that in Splash, as I mentioned, because they are a bit more game drive focused. So you can see here, these rooms are a bit more modern, a bit of a step up in luxury, and it is our freshest camp. It was actually built back in 2019, so right before the world went sideways, but we've had a wonderful time having the travelers that we have had come through in 2019 and 2020, and I've been here myself. It is incredible. When we built the camp, we weren't sure how it would impact, because you never know how it will impact the lion prides and the predators in the area, but it turns out they do not care that we've opened a camp, and they stay right around the area. So we actually have 2 lionesses and their cubs that are staying in camp with us at this very moment. Ensuite bathroom, you have both indoor and outdoor shower. And then this is the main area. So we do usually do communal dining, and probably by November of 2022, we will be as well back to communal dining. In the present moment, we've split that up, of course, but we find that communal dining makes for a very well-rounded experience. You're able to chat with each other. Your guide will actually eat with you as well for some meals, so you'll get to know them. And we do like for our staff to really be able to chat with everyone. So while you guys are having cocktails, etc., you'll get a chance to learn about them and their families and their lives living out in the bush. Here you can see our fire pit. So in the morning, this is a part of us really focusing on the safari aspect. Your breakfast or your morning coffee, you'll kind of be woken up, you'll head out and have your coffee around this fire, and we'll have a light breakfast. So there will be a bit of food for you to eat before you head out on your game drives. But your guides will be kind of raring to go. We really want to focus on that safari. So other operators, some camps will have a big sit down breakfast. That's not what we want to do. We want to get you out on the game drives. So you'll have kind of a stand and go breakfast, a bit of coffee, and then you'll head out with your guide. So this is a very cool experience in the morning, kind of right as dawn is coming. And that's when the animals are most active. So they usually already kind of have an idea based on what they've heard through the night. They'll be chatting to you saying, I heard lions roaring, 3 kilometers east, and you'll head out in that direction. So it's an exciting time right in the morning. So after your time at Splash Camp, you will head northeast to Chobe. So you'll fly in light aircraft into Kasane Airport. This is kind of another little tourism hub, much like Maun. And from Kasane Airport, you will head to Chobe Bush Lodge. So this is, we have 2 lodges, Chobe Safari Lodge and Chobe Bush Lodge, that are basically right on the Chobe River. And this is an iconic experience in Botswana. As Marianne mentioned, Chobe has incredible elephant populations. It is a massive river, and you've got a chance to kind of go all the way up and down this whole river stretch and see what is happening along the banks. So it's a very neat time when you guys are traveling. It's kind of right on the cusp of, you might start to get a little bit of rain, but most likely you're going to have a lot of animals that are still congregating quite a lot around the banks of the river, which is a really unique opportunity to see animals coming together, lions drinking right next to elephants, not something you get to see quite often. Chobe Bush Lodge is a bit smaller than other lodges in the area, but it will be larger than the other camps. It's more lodge style. So this will be a nice place after a dusty safari. You guys will get to relax a bit, have some, more restaurant style meals, and you'll be able to eat at both Chobe Safari Lodge and Chobe Bush Lodge, which means you can have meals right on the river, or you can be at your own lodge. Here's the bar at Chobe Bush Lodge, and here you can see the location. So Chobe Safari Lodge is right on the banks of the river. It's a bit larger, a little bit more old school. Chobe Bush Lodge is a little bit more boutique by comparison, but both of them are right next to Chobe National Park. So you can see we are literally the last buildings before you enter the park. That is a fantastic location. You're able to enter right away without having to go back and forth between all of the hubbub of Kasane. During your stay in Chobe, you guys will have a private dinner cruise that will be included in your stay. There are lots of activities you can go out on: boat cruise, game drives. Usually you can do a day trip to Victoria Falls. However, you guys will be headed there after this, but you can do actually right across the border into Namibia. So if you want to get another stamp on your passport, this is a neat opportunity to do so. And of course, you can go fishing for tigerfish. And finally, you'll cross the border and head into the elephant camp, which is in Victoria Falls. So you can see here, the elephant camp looks right out into Batoka Gorge, a beautiful location, and it is actually on a large reserve itself. So this is one that I used to, it's again, not part of the Quando portfolio, but it is one of our preferred partners operated by Wild Horizons. You'll have all of your fees included and everything, so you get a bit more of a bonus safari experience rather than being just right on top of the falls. But you will get a day trip to visit the falls themselves, have lunch at the Lookout Cafe, which has been recently rebuilt. You can do a village tour. There's loads and loads of opportunities for activities, including game drives, and a very neat experience at the elephant camp. These rooms are beautiful and huge, and you've got a plunge pool as well. And that is where you'll end your trip. So you guys will head out from there on your international flights with a very well-rounded itinerary, having seen quite a bit of the best of Botswana. Marianne, I'll hand it back to you. I think you're muted.
Thank you so much, Maggie. You made me want to go back even more than I did before. I can't wait to be back in Botswana. So just a little bit about the tour logistics. So the tour does run November 20th to the 30th for 2022. So a year and a half-ish away. The double occupancy rate is $78.99 Canadian, which is a good rate for safari. So I don't know how many people have looked at safari rates for Botswana and some of the more upscale destinations in Africa, but they can be quite pricey. So this is, we've managed to work with Quando and get some really good rates on the safari. So it's $78.99 Canadian, which works out right now as exchange is approximately $6,500 US. And then single occupancy, so that would give you your own room throughout the trip, is $11,599 Canadian, or approximately $9,600 US. If you would like the double occupancy rate, but you're coming by yourself, we will match you with a roommate. So you can, on the booking form, there's just a little section that you just ask to be matched with a roommate, and we can do that, not a problem at all. And I think there's just one more slide that just says thank you. But yes, thank you so much, Maggie, for joining us and giving us that great overview of the camps and the different areas that we will be visiting. We will open up to questions if anybody has any questions, especially while we have Maggie here to answer them. Or if you want to raise your hand, there's a little button that you can raise your hand. You can raise your hand and we will actually turn on your microphone and you can come on and say hi and ask a question that way.
Okay, we just have a blank screen right now, Marianne. Oh, there we go. Oh, that's thank you. Actually, I did have a question, Maggie. You mentioned about the opportunity for birding. So are there binoculars available? Exactly how does that unfold?
So we do recommend that you bring binoculars. Our guides will have some that they're happy to pass around and can be shared amongst the vehicle if there's something in particular to see. All of our guides have extensive birding knowledge, of course, but if there's any particular interest, if anyone is an ornithologist or has anything in particular that they'd like to know, then we're happy to accommodate that and make sure you get our best birders on your as your guide. So if there's any particular interest in that, please let us know, and we're happy to accommodate.
Great, thank you.
Wendy just has a question. She wants to know how bad the biting bugs are.
That is a great question. So this is something that I used to get asked a lot when I was putting itineraries together directly. And in Botswana, so that reputation tends to come from safaris in East Africa, where you have big black flies that tend to bite, and they do hurt. We actually don't have those in Botswana. You may have, when the first rains come, you may get a little bit of the termites, so they may fly up and around, but they don't bite. They're more just kind of a nuisance. You might have them on your seat or something and brush them off. But other than that, there's really not a big bug problem. It's a very low malaria risk as well. So we recommend, and Marianne, you may have your own advice on this, but we recommend chatting to your primary care physician, but you don't have to have malaria medication if you don't want it, if it doesn't jive with your health.
Yeah. We always recommend everybody talk to your own travel clinic or doctor and get advice specific to your medical needs. So yeah, for sure. And Kimberly has her hand up, so we're just going to open her microphone. So Kimberly, you can talk now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool. Not really a question, but I just wanted to make a comment. I was in Botswana 2 years ago, and I just wanted to say I was on the Zambezi Queen, which is a little cruise on the Chobe River.
Yes.
And the birding is phenomenal, and just being able to be on the river and see all the elephants come down, because you go on the little boats, and it was just to anyone who's thinking, you know, of taking this trip, it is amazing when the elephants come right up to you, like you're so close on the boat. You're close to all the crocodiles, like you're like face level with crocodiles. It's an incredible tour along the Chobe River. So I just wanted to say that go for it, because it's amazing.
That's because we didn't really see that as much, and I thought I would have seen more elephants perhaps in the slides. But thank you, Kimberly. You drove the point home.
You have to go there to see them.
Yes, exactly.
We're saving it. Kimberly, when were you there?
I was there 2 years ago in November.
I was there 2 years ago in November in Chobe, on the Chobe
Get out
River.
of town.
I was as well.
Really?
Okay, who wasn't in Botswana last year, 2 years ago in November?
That's so funny. My unfortunately soon-to-be ex-husband took me for my 50th birthday.
Oh, well,
So we toured all around Africa. We went to Giraffe Manor in Kenya. We did the Chobe River thing. We went to see the gorillas. We went to Uganda.
wow.
Tract.
That's an amazing 50th
And then we
trip.
ended in Cape Town. We ended in 3 days in Cape Town.
Excellent.
Is your image that we're looking at, Kimberly, would that be the Rothschild?
Oh yeah, that's Giraffe Manor.
Yes, yes. Oh,
That's the little baby.
Aw,
excellent. Thank you. That
well,
was
thank you so much. Oh, what a great trip. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Well,
Thank
thank you. Thank you so much for your comments. Anybody else?
And there's no chats going on either.
No. Okay. We just wowed everybody.
I think so.
Submission. Okay. Well,
Hold on a second, Marion. I just something else plopped in.
can you pre-book? Case, can you pre-book? But then the case kind of down a little lower. No, it's actually open for booking. You can only pre-book tours prior to them being actually open for bookings. And this tour is now open for booking. And I think it's maybe almost half full too. So it's all ready for booking now.
I did send out the tour page link, Marianne, in chat.
Okay, excellent. So in chat, yes, if you go to the chat, there's a link to get right to the tour page, and you can have a look at all the exact itinerary and inclusions are listed there. And the booking form, if you'd like to join us.
Oh, there's another one. You're handling the question and answers very well. There's another one in there.
How does Botswana compare to Tanzania as far as the types and amounts of wildlife likely to be seen?
That is a fantastic question. So it mostly varies in terms of landscape as well as the way that you go about exploring that landscape. So Tanzania is going to be much wider, flatter, a bit more like Lion King-esque as far as the rolling plains. And traditionally you'll be a bit more relegated to staying on the roads, and you have a lot more kind of larger groups coming through in buses, et cetera. It does depend, of course, on where you go in Tanzania, but that is a little bit more of the case. You've got huge tracts of land that you're trying to cover. And generally speaking, you'll be in closed vehicles where you'll kind of pop out the top or you'll have the windows open. In Botswana, you're looking at a varied landscape, but traditionally in most of the areas that you guys will be going, it'll be quite a bit wetter. There's much more water just present on the ground, these flooded plains. And you are in open-sided vehicles and able to kind of have a 360-degree view, as well as being on private concessions. So these massive areas of land, one of them that you'll be in is about 2 times the size of Manhattan. That's where Splash is located. So a huge amount of land that is totally, it's currently owned, basically operated by Kwandos. We're able to go off-road. We're able to really get into the landscape and track predators in particular. As far as the amounts of animals that you'll see, a big draw for East Africa is to go and see the Great Migration, where you'll have thousands of grazing game like wildebeest crossing rivers, and they all kind of move cyclically throughout the year. We don't have those big kinds of migrations that happen, which means that the game is really there all year. And we do have lots and lots of it. So you may not see herds of thousands of buffalo, but you won't have hours where you drive and don't see anything because the game is there all year round. We don't have big migrations. I know that's not a specific answer about the numbers of animals that you'll see, but you'll have a great variety of lions, leopards, elephant, zebra, giraffe. I think cheetah are probably going to be maybe a little bit harder to see, but definitely not impossible. That's the idea. You're able to get quite a bit closer if you're able to go off-road as well, because you can actually track the predators to where they're going.
Maggie, do any of your clients take walking poles with them? I noticed when some of the images, it might be useful.
Yep, some do, especially the collapsible ones that are a bit easier to travel with. We do have some people that use them. They're not necessary. We do also have walking sticks at camp if you find that you need or want one. Traditional ones that you can just use while you're there. But yes, we do have some people that bring them. I would not say that they're necessary, but for your comfort, if you want it.
Great, thank you.
A question about the airline that we use between the camps.
Yep, so we use Moremi Air to get between the Kwando camps. It is owned by Kwando, so it's our own light aircraft fleet, and they are small. So usually, I mean, it depends on kind of who is traveling, and for this group, we might use a larger caravan style plane, but usually they are quite small, 4 or 6 passengers maybe, and light aircraft. So that's where your luggage restrictions come in as far as what you can pack. But it's a very cool opportunity. It can take a little bit of getting used to, but I've flown them many, many times, and it's a neat way to see the landscape.
Very good. Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Maggie. This has been a great presentation.
You have something else there as well. I see a chat. Do you want me to open it?
I think Wendy just said thanks for all the answers.
Oh, is that what it was? Oh, good. Thank you. Thanks, Wendy. Wendy's traveling with her sister, and they're excited, particularly her sister. That's who I mean.
Thank you to everybody. Thank you, Irene, for always helping with these presentations. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope everybody learned a little bit about Botswana and our tour that is coming up. Next week next week we are having a look at a couple of the new technologies that we've implemented with the Women's Travel Club. So we're going to have a look at our new member portal on our website, and we're going to have also a look at the new member network system that allows you to connect with others traveling on your groups. So if you're interested in finding out more about those and how they work, definitely join us for next week's travel talk. So thank you again, Maggie. We really appreciate you being here and helping run through this. If anybody thinks of any other questions along the way and wants to find out any more information, you can always message me or just call into the toll-free number, and you can get to me that way. Thank you, everybody, and have a very good day.
Thanks, Maggie.
Bye, thank you.
Bye-bye.